My mom uninvited my kids from Christmas because there's not enough room, but invited my sister's new boyfriend's kids she'd never met. I said, understood. I didn't argue. I just stopped paying for the storage unit where all the family heirlooms were kept, $340/month for 11 years. When the auction notice came and everything from Grandma's china to Dad's baseball card collection was sold to strangers, I found out my kids were uninvited from Christmas while I was sitting in my cab parked outside a Walgreens eating a gas station sandwich. It was December 20th, just after dark, that weird time when everyone is rushing around with last-minute gifts and I'm basically a tired elf with a meter. My phone buzzed with a notification from the family group chat. Christmas plans. I almost didn't open it. I should have followed that instinct. My mom's message was right at the top. Hey Stan, talked it over with your dad. We really don't have enough room for you and the kids this year. House is going to be packed as it is. Maybe just you can come by Christmas Eve for a couple hours? I blinked at the screen. Below that, another message popped up from my sister, Kelly. And by the way, Mom said it's fine for Ryan's boys to come first Christmas as a blended fam. So excited. Ryan's boys, as in my sister's new boyfriend, as in the man my parents had met once at a fall barbecue. My kids were at home with my neighbor, making paper snowflakes. I'd been hyping them up all week about Grandma's big tree and cousin chaos and Grandpa's terrible eggnog like an idiot. I typed back, so there's not enough room for your own grandkids, but there is for your daughter's boyfriend's kids you've never met? I watched the little typing bubble appear. Mom. Oh, don't be dramatic. You know what I mean. We're trying to keep things small this year. It's just complicated. Another message. Before I could respond, Mom. We'll see your kids another time. Maybe in January. Christmas is just a lot. I stared at that word. Another time. Then my daughter Mia's name lit up my screen. Incoming FaceTime. I answered. Her face filled the screen, hair in a crooked ponytail, cheeks still pink from running around the apartment. Dad, did Grandma say what time we come on Christmas? I want to bring the gingerbread house we made. Lucy licked the frosting, but I wiped it off. She giggled. My throat tightened. From the background, my son Leo 11 called out, "Ask if Grandpa's doing the Nerf war again. I got new batteries for my blaster." I looked from their faces to my mom's message. Not enough room this year. I should have lied. I should have said something smooth. Instead, my voice came out flat. We need to talk about Christmas when I get home, okay, Bug? Her smile faded a little. Are we in trouble? No, I said quickly. You're not in trouble. I just need to figure some stuff out. I hung up and sat there in my cab while the heater made that rattling sound it always makes, and Christmas lights blinked in the store window, and a family walked past carrying a giant roll of wrapping paper. My kids had just been bumped for strangers, and somehow I wasn't even surprised, just tired. I'm Stan. I'm 44. I live in Columbus, Ohio. I've been driving a taxi for 15 years. I'm divorced, share 50/50ths custody of my kids, Leo and Mia. Most days, it's just the three of us in a 2-bedroom apartment that smells like crayons, takeout, and whatever pine-scented candle was on sale. My parents live 25 minutes away in the suburbs, same town I grew up in. My younger sister Kelly lives 10 minutes from them with her 2 boys and a rotating cast of boyfriends. Right now, it's Ryan. Before that, it was Ethan. Before Ethan, there was Coach Mike, who stuck around long enough to crash his Jeep in my parents' driveway. In my family, Kelly is the golden child, the one who just needs a little help right now. I'm the one who gives the help. It started small. When my dad's truck loan went sideways after he hurt his back, I covered 3 months of payments so they didn't lose their only car. When my parents' old house sold and they downsized to a condo, they cried about not having room for Grandma's china hutch, the antique dresser, 10 boxes of Christmas decorations, Dad's baseball card collection, and a mountain of sentimental stuff they just couldn't part with. The solution? A climate-controlled storage unit on the edge of town. 10 by 15. Automatic door. Insurance. Little keypad you punch a code into. Back then, the unit was $220 a month. My dad grumbled about it. We'll figure something out, he said, just for a year or two while we settle in. I was the one with the most stable income at the time. My ex was still in school. I was pulling double shifts in the cab, so I said, put it on my card for now. I'll cover it till things calm down. That was 11 years ago. The price went from $220 to $340 a month, year after year after year. I never missed a payment. It just came out on the 15th like a quiet little leech attached to my checking account. Over 11 years, that's more than $44,000. 44 grand so my parents' stuff could live in a concrete box. I joke about it sometimes. Hope Grandma's China is enjoying the luxury apartment, I'd say. My mom would laugh. You're such a good son, Stanny. We'll take it over soon. Things have just been tight. Meanwhile, when Leo needed braces, I had to set up a payment plan. When Mia wanted to try dance classes, I had to wait 3 months. But I kept paying for that storage unit because I thought I was helping preserve family history. Because my parents always said, someday all this will be yours and Kelly's. You're investing in your own inheritance. And I guess I wanted to believe that meant something. The way they treated my kids, though, that started going sideways long before the Christmas text. Little things at first. My mom insisting the cousins sit together in the cute grandkids photo, and then somehow my kids always ended up in the back, half cut off. My dad buying the other boys expensive jerseys and giving Leo a clearance bin t-shirt because he's rough on clothes anyway. Mia's birthday getting combined with her cousins, so my parents wouldn't have to host 2 parties in 1 month. And then somehow my kid's cake was a half-melted grocery store sheet shoved next to a 3-tier unicorn masterpiece for Kelly's youngest. But whenever I said anything, I'd get, "You're being sensitive, Stan. Kids don't notice that stuff. Don't start drama over nothing." So I swallowed it. I kept bringing my kids. I kept paying for the storage unit. I helped with my parents' electric bill when my dad retired and forgot property taxes twice. I covered groceries when Kelly's child support was late. Once, I even paid for Ryan's new tires because he didn't feel safe driving the boys on the old ones. It was always me, the reliable one, the good guy, the walking, talking backup plan. And my kids were just extra, optional, until my mom said it out loud. That night in the cab, after the texts, I drove one more short fare. I don't even remember it. Some guy in a suit going from a hotel to a bar, talking loudly about a bonus he got while I tried not to scream. When I got home, Mia was asleep on the couch under a blanket, clutching the gingerbread house like it was a baby. Leo was half awake, controller still in his hand. Some racing game paused on the TV. He sat up when I walked in. "Did Grandma say what time we should be there?" he asked. I set my keys in the little bowl by the door. My hands were shaking. "Come sit down," I said. They sat opposite me at our wobbly coffee table, the fake tree blinking in the corner with dollar store ornaments. "Grandma and Grandpa are changing Christmas this year," I said carefully. "They're saying the house is really full and there's not enough room for everyone." Mia's face crumpled. "Not enough room for us?" Leo frowned. "How?" "It's the same house we all fit last year." I swallowed. "They said it's just going to be them. Aunt Kelly, your cousins, and Ryan's kids." Silence. You know that moment when a kid realizes exactly where they rank? You can see it. "It's like a light going out," Mia whispered. "But we're family." I couldn't look at her. Instead, I focused on the dent in the coffee table from where Leo dropped a hammer last summer. "They said I can stop by for a couple hours on Christmas Eve," I said. "Just me, not you guys." Leo leaned back like I'd slapped him. "So we're not invited to Christmas," he said slowly. "But some guys' kids they barely know are." "Pretty much," I said. My voice sounded dead even to me. Mia slid off her chair, took the gingerbread house carefully, and walked to her room without another word. She closed the door quietly. Leo stared at the closed door, then at me. "Are you still going?" he asked. "No," I said. That I knew for sure. "If you're not welcome, I'm not going." He nodded once. His eyes were wet, but he blinked hard. "I knew they liked the cousins more," he muttered. "I just didn't know we lost to strangers." He went to his room, too. I sat there alone in the glow of our cheap tree, listening to the hum of the fridge and the traffic outside, and something inside me finally snapped. All those months of paying for a climate-controlled shrine to my parents' memories. All those years of making room in my budget for their bills while they couldn't make room at their table for my kids. They didn't have enough room? Fine. Neither did I. 2 days later, on my break between the lunch rush and the airport runs, I drove to the storage facility. I'd been there 100 times over the years, usually to drop off another box my parents couldn't bear to throw away, or to dig out some random thing Mom suddenly needed. Her punch bowl, a box of framed photos, the old artificial tree when the new one didn't feel right. The manager, a guy named Robert with a permanent coffee stain on his polo, nodded when I walked in. "Unit 307?" he said. "How's it going, Stan?" "Been better," I said. "I need to look at my account." He tapped at his computer, then turned the screen slightly so I could see. There it was, Unit 307, 10X15 climate controlled. Monthly rate $340. Autopay, active, Visa ending in 3921. Account holder, Stanley R. Martin. "Just mine. You're paid up through the 15th, Robert said. "Next charge hits January 15th. What did you need to change?" I stared at the cursor blinking next to autopay, active. "How does it work?" I asked slowly. "If autopay gets turned off," he shrugged, "you'd get a paper bill and email. If it's not paid by the end of the month, there's a late fee. After 30 days delinquent, overlock goes on. After 60, we send a certified letter. After 90, auction." I knew this already, in theory. There were signs everywhere. Pay on time, avoid auction. I just never imagined it would be relevant. Robert lowered his voice a little. "You thinking of closing the unit?" "I can't lie, prices are only going up. A lot of people are downsizing." I thought about Grandma's china I'd seen wrapped in newspaper, the dressers, the boxes labeled Xmas Living Room in my mom's handwriting, the plastic tub marked Dad card / beer sign / bar stuff. "Can I go take a look and then come back?" I asked. "Sure. You know the code." Unit 307's metal door rolled up with the same clanking sound it always had. The smell hit me first. Cardboard. Old wood. A faint whiff of cedar from the chest my grandma used to keep quilts in. I stepped inside, flicked on the little bare bulb, and took it all in. The china hutch was shoved against the back wall, draped in an old sheet. My dad's old bar sign from the 80s leaned against it. Cold beer, warm hearts. The boxes were stacked in messy towers, some with corners caving in. A plastic bin marked Baby Clothes Kelly sat right next to a box labeled Stan's School Stuff. I pulled that one out and opened it. My old baseball glove, a stack of notebooks, a photo of me at 15 with bad hair and a bigger smile than I could remember having in years. On top of the pile was a crayon drawing on yellowed paper. Me and my parents in front of our old house, stick figure style, with "Our Family" written in crooked letters. My mom had kept this, told me it was too precious to throw away, and then let it sit in a dark box for over a decade. I sat on an upside-down milk crate and laughed once. It sounded wrong in the tiny space. All this stuff. All this history. All this we can't let go. But somehow, letting go of my kids was easy. Not enough room. I picked up the box, dug until I found a few things that were actually mine. A shoebox of ticket stubs, the glove, an old Polaroid or two. I set them aside near the door. Everything else, technically, it all belonged to my parents. They'd made that very clear a dozen times. "Don't you dare toss anything in there, Stan," my mom would say. "That's our life in those boxes. Your life, your unit, your bill." I stood up, turned off the light, and pulled the door down until it latched with a metallic thud. Then I walked back to the office. Robert looked up. "Everything okay?" "Yeah," I said. "I need to turn off autopay." He raised his eyebrows. "You sure? You've had that set for, wow, 11 years?" "Yeah," I said again. My voice was steadier this time. "I'm sure." He clicked a few keys. The green active switched to gray inactive. "You'll get a paper invoice next month," he said. "If you decide to close out, just give 30 days notice, but you know the timeline if it goes delinquent." "I do." I signed the form he slid across the counter. He tore off my copy. "Anything else I can help with?" "No," I said. "I think that covers it." I took my small box of my stuff out to the cab. It rode in the passenger seat like some weird little passenger on the way home. When I got back to the apartment, Mia and Leo were working on a jigsaw puzzle at the coffee table. A snowman, one we'd done 100 times. "What's that?" Leo asked, nodding at the box. "Old junk of mine," I said. "Stuff from when I was a kid." Mia perked up. "Can we see?" After dinner, I said, "We'll go through it together." I looked at their faces, hopeful, tired, still a little bruised from the Christmas news, and something settled inside me. I wasn't going to scream at my parents. I wasn't going to beg. I was just done. The first bill from the storage company came in mid-January. Plain white envelope, their logo in the corner. I opened it at the kitchen counter while Mia colored and Leo did math homework. Amount due, $340 plus $25 late fee. Past due, 15 days. Leo glanced over. "Another bill?" "Something like that," I said. I folded it and set it on the side of the fridge that doesn't get magnets. I didn't text my parents. I didn't bring it up in the family group chat. I'd been the one keeping that unit alive with my card. I was the one who'd been told there wasn't enough room for my kids. If that stuff mattered that much, somebody else could step up. No one did. The second notice came in February. Another $25 late fee. A red second notice stamped across the top, like a warning I was supposed to be scared of. This time, there was a line at the bottom. Failure to remit payment within 30 days may result in overlock and sale of contents per state law. I stuck that one in a drawer. In March, a certified letter arrived. I had to sign for it downstairs while carrying a grocery bag in one arm and Mia's backpack in the other. Leo read the green sticker. "What's that mean?" "It means now they're really serious," I said. Upstairs, I opened it. Notice of lien and intent to sell, Unit 307. It listed the auction date. It explained the process. It said something about perishable and sentimental items and no guarantees. I stared at the date, April 12th. There was still time. I could have called my parents. I could have sent a photo of the notice. I could have driven over and handed it to them. I thought about it. For a whole minute, I stood at the sink with that letter, imagining the phone call. "Hey, Mom. Hey, Dad. Remember that unit you never asked about but always expected me to pay for? Yeah, it's going to auction. Do you want to take over the bill?" I knew exactly how it would go. They'd act shocked, then offended. Then they'd twist it, until somehow I was the ungrateful one for not wanting to pay $340 a month forever. Family doesn't keep score, Dad would say. Family doesn't uninvite kids from Christmas, I'd want to reply. Instead, I folded the letter and put it in my sock drawer. The next morning, I drove Mia to school early. She had hot cocoa with families in the cafeteria. We sat at one of those long plastic tables while she drank lukewarm cocoa and decorated a paper snowflake. "Do you think Grandma's still mad at us?" she asked suddenly. I blinked. "Why would she be mad at us?" "Because we didn't go to Christmas," she said softly. "We weren't invited to Christmas, remember?" I said. She stared at her cup. "I thought maybe we did something wrong." My chest hurt. "You didn't do anything wrong," I said. "Adults make choices. Sometimes they make bad ones." She nodded, but her shoulders stayed a little hunched. That sealed it. If my parents wanted to protect their stuff so badly, they could have prioritized it themselves. They didn't. I was done being the only one sacrificing. I didn't go to the auction. The notice said 9 a.m. on a Wednesday. I was supposed to be there if I wished to remove any personal items before the sale. Instead, I worked an early airport run, then a couple of downtown fairs. People with suitcases, people with laptops, people with lives that didn't include watching their childhood furniture go to the highest bidder in a parking lot. Still, around 9:30, I found myself driving past the facility. There were 3 trucks parked outside the gate. A small cluster of people in hoodies and baseball caps stood near the office, hands in pockets against the chill. I recognized the auction guy from the flyer stapled to the notice board last time I'd been there. Ball cap, clipboard, portable speaker on a stand. I didn't stop. I just slowed enough to see Unit 307's door rolled up, a glimpse of sheet-covered shapes and cardboard towers exposed to daylight for the first time in years. Then a car honked behind me and I kept going. It was done. The storm hit 5 days later, Sunday, late afternoon. Leo was sprawled on the floor building a Lego city. Mia was drawing at the table, tongue poking out slightly while she focused. I was in the kitchen making spaghetti. My phone lit up with my mom's name. I let it buzz. She called again. Then again. On the 4th try, Leo looked over. "Are you going to answer?" "Yeah," I said eventually. "Might as well." I put it on speaker and set it on the counter. "Hello?" My mom's voice came through already in mid-panic. "Stanley, what did you do?" Mia flinched. "Mom, Lower your voice, I said. The storage unit, she shrieked. Your father drove by this morning to grab the Easter boxes, and the lock was cut and there was a new lock, and we went to the office and they said it was sold. Auctioned. Everything, Stan. All our things. Your grandmother's china, my wedding dress, your father's cards. Gone. Gone to strangers. She was gasping like she'd run a marathon. I stirred the sauce. Yeah, I said. That's usually what auctioned means. You knew? She wailed. You knew, and you didn't tell us? I knew the notices were coming, I said, since the bills were in my name. For the last 11 years. You stopped paying, she demanded. Yeah, I said, in December. Silence, just her ragged breathing. Why would you do that? She whispered like I'd stabbed someone. Because I'm done paying $340 a month to store things for people who don't think there's room for my kids at Christmas, I said. Leo's eyes flicked up at me. Mia's pencil froze. My mom sputtered. Are you serious? You're punishing us over a misunderstanding? Not a misunderstanding, I said. You told me there wasn't enough room. We meant for the grown-ups, she snapped. We thought it would be less stressful. We were trying to keep things simple. You know how your father's blood pressure has been. You always twist everything. Did you uninvite Kelly's kids? I asked. Or Ryan's boys? That's different, she said immediately. Because they're easier to love? I asked. Or because they don't have my last name? Or because Ryan buys fancy whiskey when he comes over so you like having him around? That's not fair, she said, but there was less heat in it now. Just this brittle edge. Neither is telling my kids there's no room for them, I said. Neither is expecting me to bankroll your storage unit forever while you treat my kids like extras. She inhaled sharply. Do you have any idea what you've done? She asked. Those cards were worth thousands of dollars, Stan. Your father had rookie cards in there. Signed things. That china set was from my grandmother. You can't just throw away history. I didn't throw it away, I said. I just stopped paying for it. You should have told us, she said, voice climbing again. You should have given us a chance to save it. You had 11 years to take over the payments, I said. You had 3 months of notices. The company mailed them to our address. Same address I've lived at for 6 years. Funny how you never asked why I got mail from a storage place every month. That's not the point, she snapped. Then what is? I asked. She was quiet for a moment. You've always been so dramatic, she said finally. You could have just stayed mad for a week. You didn't have to destroy the whole family over one holiday. There it was, the real story. One holiday. One overreaction. Not a pattern. Not years. I leaned against the counter. I didn't destroy the family, I said. You made a choice about who counts as family. I made a choice about what I'm willing to pay for. You're going to regret this, she said, her voice shaking. You think those kids of yours are going to thank you when they find out you're the reason there's nothing left? No heirlooms, no china, no keepsakes? You've ruined everything. I looked over at the table. Mia had drawn a little house with 3 stick figures in front. She'd written, me, Dad, Leo, above them and colored the sky purple. Maybe, I said, maybe we'll just make our own heirlooms. She scoffed. You're unbelievable. Then the line clicked dead. I stared at the phone for a second, then turned off speaker and set it face down. The kids were both watching me. Are Grandma and Grandpa okay? Mia asked quietly. They're upset, I said honestly. They lost some things that were important to them. Because you stopped paying? Leo asked. Yeah, I said. Because I decided I'm not your grandparents' backup bank anymore. Leo went back to his Legos slowly. Mia slid off her chair and walked over to me. She wrapped her arms around my waist. Are we in trouble? She whispered into my shirt. No, I said, hugging her back. We're finally not. They didn't call the next day. Kelly did. First a missed call, then a text. Kelly, Stan, did you seriously let Mom and Dad's unit go to auction? Kelly, do you know how much those cards were worth? Do you ever think about anyone but yourself? I was sitting in the cab in between fares again. I stared at the texts and felt this weird calm wash over me. I typed back, do you ever think about my kids when you help decide who's invited to Christmas? The dots appeared. Stopped. Appeared again. Kelly, oh my God, you're still on that. It was 1 year. Mom was stressed. You know how Dad gets. We had to make choices. Me? You chose your boyfriend's kids over your own brother's kids. There was a long pause. Then, Kelly, you're punishing all of us over something that didn't even happen to you. It was about your kids. They'll get over it. Now there's nothing left of Grandma's. You went nuclear. I looked at that line, "It didn't even happen to you," and laughed out loud. I didn't answer. I blocked her for the afternoon, just to hear myself think. 2 days later, they showed up at my door. No warning, no text. Just a pounding knock that rattled the frame while I was making grilled cheese. I opened it with the chain still on. My parents stood there on the landing, both in their good coats like they were going to church. My mom's eyes were red. My dad looked old. Older than I'd ever seen him. "Stan," he said. "Just my name. No son, no hay." I unhooked the chain and stepped aside just enough for them to see the kids on the couch watching a nature documentary, wrapped in the same throw blanket. "We need to talk," my mom said, pushing past me like it wasn't my apartment. "Keep your voices down," I said. "The kids are here." My dad stayed near the door, hands jammed in his pockets. "We lost everything," my mom started immediately. "They sold it all. Some man with a truck took the hutch. Another one loaded up boxes like they were trash." I begged the office to tell me who bought it. They said they couldn't disclose that. "Do you know what it feels like to have your whole life sold off in a parking lot?" "Yes," I said. "Actually. Watching you treat my kids like afterthoughts felt pretty similar." Her eyes flashed. "You keep dragging the kids into this like they even understand what's happening. Children are resilient. They'll forget. Those heirlooms were irreplaceable." Leo turned the volume up a notch on the TV remote. My dad finally spoke. "You went too far," he said quietly. "You should have told us you were going to stop paying. We would have figured something out." "Would you?" I asked. "You retired 5 years ago and haven't given up a single hobby. You still go on golf trips, you still give Kelly money when she's short. But the storage unit? That was apparently bottom of the list." "That's not the point," he said. "Then what is?" I asked. Because from where I'm standing, the point is this. I've been paying almost $400 a month for more than a decade so your stuff could be comfortable. And when it came time to decide who gets a chair at Christmas, my kids didn't make the cut. That's the point. My mom shook her head like I was speaking another language. "You're twisting it," she said. "We love your kids. We knew they'd be fine. That they had you. The little boys don't have a stable dad. You thought my kids don't need you," I said. "So you acted like they don't exist." She opened her mouth, closed it. My dad looked at the TV where a cheetah was chasing something. "Those cards were my nest egg," he muttered. "I could have sold them later, helped you kids out. Now it's gone. You had a chance to help me out every month by taking that bill," I said. "You chose not to." I chose not to anymore either. My mom's eyes filled again. "How can you be so cold?" I felt Leo's gaze on my back. "I'm not cold," I said. "I'm clear." My mom sniffed hard. "So that's it?" she said. "You just cut us off." "Over stuff that's already done? Over one Christmas that went differently than you wanted?" I took a breath. "I won't be paying any more bills for you," I said. "No storage units, no emergencies, no can you cover this just this once." Her mouth opened. "I'm not your backup bank," I continued. "I'm not going to fund a family my kids aren't really part of." Mia shifted on the couch. I could feel her attention, even if she kept her eyes on the cheetah. My dad's jaw tightened. "So you're just going to watch us struggle?" he asked. "After everything we've done for you?" "You're adults," I said. "You'll figure it out, like I have." My mom's face hardened. "Kelly was right," she said. "You've changed since the divorce. You let that bitterness worm its way in. You think you're punishing us, but you're just hurting those kids." "I'm protecting those kids," I said, "by showing them that when someone treats you like you're optional, you're allowed to stop bleeding for them." My dad shook his head and turned toward the door. "Let's go," he said to my mom. "We're wasting our time." She hesitated, looking around my small living room like she wanted to take inventory and judge everything at once. Her eyes landed on the fake tree still up in the corner. It was late January by then, and the construction paper star on top that Mia had made. "You'll regret this when we're gone," she said finally. "Maybe," I said, "but at least my kids will know I chose them." I opened the door wider. They stepped out without another word. I shut it gently behind them and turned the deadbolt. Then I stood there, hand on the knob, breathing. Leo's voice came from the couch. Dad? Yeah? Are we really? Cut off? From what? I asked, walking over. From them, he said. From that side. Mia rolled onto her back, looking up at me with wide eyes. I sat down on the rug between them. We're taking a break, I said. Maybe for a long time. Maybe forever. I don't know yet. But I do know this. You two are never going to have to beg someone to make room for you. Mia reached over and put her small hand on mine. Can we still have Christmas? She asked. Yeah, I said. We're just going to make our own. That year we did Christmas early. Not in December. In July. It started as a joke. Mia saw a plastic Christmas tree at the thrift store, half off and leaning sadly in a corner. She begged to get it. It can be for our summer Christmas, she said. We can have one just us. Leo rolled his eyes, but he was smiling. I put the tree in the cart. On the way out, we passed the aisle with dishes. Mismatched plates, chipped bowls, odd cups. Mia held up a white plate with tiny blue flowers around the rim. This looks like something a grandma would have, she said. I felt something twist in my chest. Let's get 4, I said. 1 for each of us and an extra. For who? She asked. For whoever joins us someday, I said. Or for cookies. Cookies need their own plate. We bought the plates. Total, $6.50. At home, we set up the fake tree in the corner, even though it was 90 degrees outside. The kids strung popcorn and paper chains. I dug out my old box from the storage unit, the few things I'd rescued. And we used my childhood baseball card as a tree topper for exactly 5 minutes before Leo declared it too weird and we made a new star instead. We invited my cousin Jenna and her wife over. They texted me back in January after hearing bits of the story through the family grapevine. For what it's worth, Jenna had written, if my parents ever tried that with my kids, I'd be out too. If you ever do your own thing, we'd love to be part of it. So I texted her, you busy next Saturday? We're having Christmas in July. She showed up with potato salad, sparkling cider, and a bag of cheap dollar store toys for the stockings, even though we didn't actually have stockings. We ate on the thrift store plates. We used the chipped one for a pile of cookies Mia had baked from a box mix. We played stupid games. Leo showed Jenna his Lego city. Mia made everyone a card with stick figures and labeled us all family. At one point, Jenna leaned over and said quietly, you know your mom's been telling people you went crazy, right? That you burned the past to make a point? I shrugged. Sounds dramatic. She's leaving out the part where she uninvited her grandkids, Jenna said. Most of us heard that piece too. You're not the crazy one, Stan. You're the first one to say no to them. Later, after they left, we sat on the couch with the tree lights on. Mia fell asleep with her head on my shoulder, clutching the plush penguin she'd won from a claw machine months ago. Leo scrolled something on his phone, then put it away and just stared at the lights for a minute. Hey, Dad, he said. Yeah? Do you miss their house? I thought about the formal living room. The crowded table, the way my dad's recliner always smelled like beer and old leather. Sometimes I miss what I thought it could be, I said. I don't miss how it actually was. He nodded slowly. I like it better here, he said. Even if our tree's made of plastic and our heirlooms are from Goodwill. I smiled. Hey, I said, nudging him, these plates are going to be worth millions someday. Your kids will fight over who gets the blue flower one. He snorted. Joke's on them, he said. I'm taking the penguin. My parents didn't come around for Thanksgiving. They didn't call for Leo's birthday. They posted photos on Facebook of a big family gathering. Kelly, her kids, Ryan's boys. A big turkey. No sign of us, not even in hashtags. People sometimes asked if I regretted letting the storage unit go, if losing those heirlooms ever kept me up at night. Honestly, sometimes, yeah. Sometimes I'd remember a specific thing, my grandma's mixing bowl, the old Christmas ornaments, the framed black and white photo of my great-grandparents, and feel a pang. Then I'd look at Mia's drawing on the fridge, the one where she'd drawn our apartment with a big smiling sun and wrote home in big letters on top, or I'd see Leo teaching her how to beat a level in some game, patient and kind, nothing like the way my dad barked at us when we were kids. And I'd remember standing in my parents' driveway, holding the phone with that first text from my mom. We really don't have enough room for you and the kids this year. Not enough room. $44,000 over 11 years. I spent that much money making sure my parents' past stayed safe while they treated my kids like they were temporary. Worth less than a stranger's kids. Worth less than furniture. So when the guilt popped up, I'd tell myself the same thing I told them in my living room. I'm not their backup bank. I won't fund a family my kids aren't part of. The last Christmas of that second year, we did something new. I set 3 plates on the table, then a 4th. Mia noticed. Who's the extra for this time? I smiled. For whoever we're missing, I said. Anyone who ever felt like there wasn't enough room for them somewhere else. We didn't leave it empty, though. We put a construction paper heart on it that Mia had cut out herself, with welcome written in shaky letters. She taped it to the plate so it wouldn't slide. We ate ham instead of turkey, because it was cheaper. The kids opened a few gifts we'd bought on sale. We watched a movie we'd all seen a dozen times. There was no china, no antique furniture, no valuable cards. Just us. At the end of the night, Mia got up from the table and took the paper heart off the extra plate. "Can I put this in the box?" she asked. She meant the shoebox under her bed where she kept her special things. Ticket stubs, a friendship bracelet from a girl who moved away, the first dollar she ever got for helping our neighbor carry groceries. "Yeah," I said. "That's a good place for it." She carried it carefully down the hall, like it was made of glass. Leo started stacking plates. "You know this is going to be the story someday, right?" he said. "Like when people ask why we don't see them. Remember when Grandma uninvited us from Christmas and Dad sold Grandma's china to strangers?" I laughed. "Technically, the storage company sold it. Details," he said, smirking. He set the blue flower plates in the sink, rinsed them, and leaned against the counter. "Thanks," he said suddenly. "For what?" "For picking us," he said. "Even if it meant losing all that old stuff." I looked at my son. Taller than last year, voice deeper, still that same little boy who once clung to my leg at preschool drop-off. "Always," I said. "I'd lose 1,000 storage units before I lost you two." He nodded, satisfied, and went to join his sister. Our tree twinkled in the corner. The thrift store star leaned a little to the left. It wasn't the Christmas I grew up with. It was ours. And for the first time in a long time, it felt like there was more than enough room.